say Brinsley approached people on the street and asked them to follow him on Instagram. He then said, "Watch what I'm going to do," and shot the officers. Brinsley then committed suicide in a subway station.
I am so hurt and sad because they sitting in their car and you just walk up and you shoot them like that.
Michael Brown was captured on video committing a crime. Eric Garner was someone who had been arrested 30 times in 34 years for crimes including assault. These are facts, as difficult as they may be for some to understand. And it is that these two men, both of whom lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement due to their own actions in part, they're driving what is on the verge of becoming a new civil war pitting criminals and those with an agenda against law enforcement. Let's welcome to MidPoint the former Chief of Staff of the New York City Police Department, John Picciano, joins us. John, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
John, in your opinion, there has been a tremendous amount of talk in the last 24 hours about Bill de Blasio with what has been called divisive anti-cop rhetoric. And even as a matter of fact, the former governor of New York, George Pataki, said that is exactly the case for the mayor of New York. He's now speaking to a group at the Police Athletic League, and he is basically saying that the killing of police officers was an attack on every single New Yorker. He's saying all the right things. But in your opinion, did this mayor, certainly not the cause of what happened, but did he help to drive the rhetoric and the agenda that may have led to this attack?
Oh, I firmly believe that. I mean, you have to be supportive of his mayor. If you really want, if it's about the citizens that you love that voted you into office, well, then obviously who protects the citizens? It's the police department. And you have to be on their side. When they make a mistake, sure, of course. You're going to look into it. It's going to be investigated. But every day you have to support the police department, the fire department, the ambulance, and all the other workers in the city. But most importantly, it's the men and women that wear the blue in New York City and around the country that are the ones that protect us from the evils that happen every single day. And they do it, you know, wholeheartedly, for putting their lives on the line every day. And you have to be there as a leader of the city. And this is even higher than him. This goes all the way to President Obama in 2009 when he said the police acted stupidly before he even knew the facts of what had happened. So, you know, there's been a trend here since the Obama administration to kind of go after the police and bring them down.
Why is that, John? Why is that? Because these are still the people that keep anarchy from breaking out in the country. Why would somebody, whether it's the mayor or the president, take any sort of an action, a knowing action, if you will, to speak ill of the police department?
And especially when all the facts aren't out, and Trayvon Martin and all the other cases that he, like Michael Brown, for instance, in which he committed a robbery in a store. So how can you even bring the case up? He brought that upon himself. And unfortunately, it seems to me that they are looking for chaos. They have an agenda against the police. You know, when, like in Ferguson, where they said that the police was too militarized.
Who has the agenda against police, John?
I'm going to say the Democrats and the liberals. They just feel firmly that the police are too powerful, and every incident that goes out there, they look at it under a microscope without knowing all the facts. When a grand jury comes out and gives the bill of non-indictment, what do? They change the story. They make it into something that it's not, like in this particular case. And people like this Brinsley, who took it upon himself to assassinate two people that gave their lives to protecting us every single day.
Would it be your opinion then that people, whether it's the president, the attorney general, the mayor, whomever, but you use the phrase liberals, Democrats, if you will, that they want to keep people fighting about race, that they need to keep people thinking about that there is a war against blacks and that the cops are the bad guys on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. I mean, chaos, you know, divide and conquer, all those things, that's what they're about. And if you look at what the police have done since the mid-'90s in this country, let's not look at the success just in New York City. In this country, they have saved thousands and thousands of black lives. And because in the affluent neighborhoods, crime isn't rampant as it is in more challenged areas. And it's the men and women that wear the uniform that protect them.
John,
so
we only got about 15 seconds, and then we're taking a break. In your opinion, is there blood on the hands of de Blasio, Holder, and Obama?
I firmly believe that. You cannot be the chief law enforcement officer and be an activist for just, it seems, as for blacks only.
Okay.
You have to be fair.
All right, stand by just a moment. We're back with John Picciano after the break. We're going to head for this discourse about race in America and how some people are driving that anti-cop narrative for their own advantage and how to stop it if we can. That's coming up right here on MidPoint. Welcome back to MidPoint. Also, welcome back former Chief of Staff of the New York City Police Department, John Picciano. John, we talked a little bit before the break about fault and blame in this. Do we not have to back up, though, and at least say that some of the responsibility for what is happening here must fall to the cops themselves, the police departments, the fact that in many cases there are overreactions. There are cops caught tweeting racist statements. There are bad cops in this, and they are part and parcel part of the problem. Don't we have to admit that?
Well, I mean, every police department has, a few officers that make mistakes. And you want to call them rotten apples, you want to call them bad cops. I agree. And we've done such a much better job of weeding them out. Do I think they're to blame for this? Absolutely not. I think that the actions that they took in the Michael Brown case were justified.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go past Michael Brown a little bit. I want to go past Michael Brown and all the rest. But can we not say that this is part and parcel of the systemic problem that we have? Not just Michael Brown, not just Eric Garner, the Cleveland shooting, if you will, but so many others. It has been going on for a long time where there are bad cops out there who do stupid things that are known in the public. Social media certainly helps us know about them anymore. We see the videos, we see the tweets, but these are the people that need to be weeded out, and they're not being taken out of the system. Don't you think that that might be one of the things that people are a little bit angry about here, that they still have these bullet heads in the police departments?
Well, what I think is, if you look at all the contacts, and what I mean by contact is when a police officer engages with a civilian on the street. If you look at the millions of contacts per year around this country, it's a very, very minute portion of the policing out there that's having problems like that. But of course, the media brings it out, and rightfully so. There are cases that are outrageous. I mean, and they have to be dealt with, just like in any other business or anything else that goes on, whether it be Wall Street. When you have a problem, you have to deal with it. And the police department has done a much better job through the years in being more sensitive, having better community relations, and better training for the officers.
But to be very fair, John, I know you were chief of staff here. I'm sure you heard all these things when you were there. And I mean, as a kid, I remember hearing, I grew up in New York City, hearing about the cops need to be better. We need to do better with the cops. The cops need to work better with the community. I heard this decades ago. Why are we still here?
Well, I mean, you can only try. If the community doesn't buy in, if they always feel as if, it's their son or their daughter being arrested, and even a lot of times a mother and father just, even if the son was dealing with drugs or did commit a robbery, to them it's more of a personal issue. So that it's a deeper rooted problem, with economics and those kind of issues. When you have young kids who are looking up to drug dealers and they don't want to be a police officer or an FBI agent, they'd rather be selling drugs, and because that's what's around them. So it's a vicious cycle that has to be broken, and the way you break it is trying to figure out what can be done in the community to make their lives better, so they don't look up to a drug dealer as a hero or a mentor.
Then if we take that at its face value, then is it even possible then for the cop on the beat to create any sort of a difference in the community if he or she is constantly facing what is their systemic problems, if you will, of drugs, economics, health, whatever? Is it even possible to get through and change that from the cop's perspective?
It is. I mean, community policing works. I mean, the foot cop who's walking the street and has contact with the kids on their way to school and stuff like that. It's not easy, but it is a very helpful tool, and it has worked very well in New York City.
Then is that what we need to do, John? And I hate to interrupt you, but I'm short on time.
No.
But is that what we need to do then, is take cops, stop the cops from having to go after these penny-ante little crimes here and there, these stupid, ridiculous little things. As somebody said earlier, giving somebody a $400 ticket for going 7 miles over the speed limit. Stop this ridiculousness and get them back to policing and trying to keep law and order, the real law and order?
Well, I think that discretion should be used by police officers. I think that sometimes maybe they are a little aggressive, but I think overall it's because they always have to be on guard. And if you look at what happened to those two officers on Saturday, unfortunately, they had their guard down in a sense. They were sitting in a vehicle and had no idea what was going to happen to them. So it is a very difficult line to walk at times when you're pulling over a vehicle and you're dealing with traffic stops and just walking the street. You just don't know. And unfortunately, their guard has to be up, and sometimes it comes off as maybe arrogance or aggressivity. So
two-way street though, John, isn't it?
You have to work with.
Two-way street, cops and the people, right?
Yes, sir.
See, there you go. One way or another, I think that's what it's all going to boil down to, is it has to be that two-way street, or else we're just going to sit here spinning our wheels for another couple of decades, and unfortunately, two more officers are going to be murdered, as these two were, tragically. John, I want to thank you so much for taking time to join us, my friend. I look forward to the next time. I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Sir.
All right, take care. Break, and we return with the need to shut down the source of the burgeoning war against cops. Some say it's the Obama administration. Some say it's the media. At 43 minutes after the hour, something lighter, a true reason for the season.